Hello, Dr. Altman. It is such an honor to have you join us. You have such a powerful story of redemption and forgiveness. As an OBGYN doctor who used to commit abortions, would you be able to share the defining moment at which you realized that committing abortions was wrong?
Well, mine's more of a prolonged story. I mean, there was a final moment, but it took out a long time to get me there. And the first thing that happened was that I just couldn't continue to personally commit abortions um, just because the baby wasn't wanted. But then over time, um, I began to question my whole belief that abortion was okay. And it was when I finally, my a friend gave me an article comparing abortion to the Holocaust. And when I read it, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm no better than they were. And what brought it home was my dad was with the group that liberated the first concentration camp. And so I'd grown up with all those stories. Um, and, and I never actually could never understand how the German doctors could do what they did with the experimentation and everything they did. And after reading that article, I realized they could the same way I could do what I was doing. And that was because we had dehumanized our victims. And if you don't believe somebody's human, then you can do anything you want with them. And you compartmentalize, and you can be a loving father, mother to your children and a wonderful friend, and then do these horrible things because you just don't believe they're human. You don't think it's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure that coming to terms with the gravity of abortion was an incredibly emotional process. Taking that initial step of honesty, wherein you were able to confess to your wrongdoings, is integral to the healing process. And I could imagine that there would be, an internal battle of guilt during this process of confession. I'm wondering, was there a period of denial during which you tried to kind of convince yourself that committing abortions was morally acceptable despite feeling otherwise?
Well, I didn't think it was wrong until that moment, and then I believed it was, and then it just took prayer and healing to um, get through that.
That it can just take, one small action, you can kind of have that reality revealed to you. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge your courage and your honesty in a society that generally believes that abortion is morally acceptable and an inalienable right. Being able to admit that abortion is in fact an act of killing for which you were responsible is incredibly difficult and I'm sure painful. And as human beings, we do everything in our power to avoid reconciling our wrongful actions. And in your case, admitting to killing must have taken an immense amount of bravery. Yet there's such a beauty in forgiveness. And a confession like your own would have been, a terrifying experience. And as a Christian, we know that there's hope and that there's healing and that no sin is too shameful to bring to God. And I definitely call on all pro-lifers to forgive and aid others onto their path of healing. You have mentioned that in the past, your father was present at the first concentration camp, or when the first concentration camps were freed during the Second World War. How have historical acts of human rights injustices and genocides like the Holocaust shaped your conceptualization of abortion?
Well, that's what changed my mind. When I related those two events and understood the dynamics of what can go on. In medicine, we're very good at teaching people how to compartmentalize, and that's hard to break through and hard to see the truth at that point.
Absolutely. An abortionist who admits that they have contributed to the genocide of unborn children is a powerful first step towards mercy and social healing. Ex-abortionists like yourself who have taken a public countercultural stand against the state-sanctioned murder have an integral role in ending abortion. I'm wondering, what do you believe is the role of ex-abortionists who have come to terms with the gravity of their actions? And do you believe that ex-abortionists who publicly confess to their wrongdoings allow for practicing abortionists to come to terms with the reality of abortion?
I don't know how much effect it has on other abortionists. It definitely has an effect on the public. To hear from someone who used to believe that abortion was okay and used to actually do them, I think it gives them another perspective, and people have said, well, I didn't look at it that way. And I think they're a little bit more open. I think one of the biggest roles, though, is in sort of setting the public record straight and trying to influence lawmakers. I was really thankful that the Hyde Amendment didn't flounder, wasn't removed, because that's the only thing that protects physicians and medical personnel from being actually forced to participate in abortion or assisted suicide or anything where they would be in the position to be killing people and don't want to be.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kathi. Your testimony is incredibly inspiring. And, by turning away from the grasp of the abortion industry, you've made integral strides to end abortion. And as someone who's witnessed abortion firsthand, your epiphany will hopefully cause abortionists and just the general public to wake up to the reality of their actions. And we sincerely wish you all the best and thank you for everything you've done for the pro-life movement.
You're welcome. And I'm just excited when I see young people involved in this fight. So I just want to encourage you.
Thank you.